So, however, Monday, August the 10th, 2026. First things first. I'd like to point out a scenario. Say, 5, 10 years from now, say we used to go back find ourselves say in 10 years from now, you go back and look for news stories and not be able to find the majority of them, or even 20 years ago. That was a situation that could not happen with printed media. It would be a lot more difficult to conceal those stories if they had been printed and either shipped and sold nationwide, statewide, so whatever. Think of the failure on the part of those who went into the alternative media space. It started all this reporting, and those don't have a record of it anymore. Like, take the last American Vagabond, for instance, his YouTube channel, and all the stories he's posted there, gone. As far as the website, well, I don't know, the search on the website doesn't work worth a fuck. It doesn't search, so try to look up any story from the past from that leak. I don't even know how you do that. If it's just go pull up all the recent papers. This is interesting.
I would tell him to go his self. That's what I would tell him. It's the President of the United States. Well, obviously, wouldn't you want to have a constructive that? This man has tried to torture me for 10 years. He says the that he says about my dad. The that he says about my dad. His obsession with tormenting my dad. Hanging a picture of an auto can on the colonnade. Demeaning him. And all the things that he said about him. And anyone with
all things he said about it, obviously not going to go into.
Would expect me to do anything outside of which I would never do.
I think this is here is interesting.
Is physical violence against that person.
He kind of went out of his way.
Like that. Hanging a picture of an auto can on the colonnade, demeaning him, and all the things that he said about him. And anyone would expect me to do anything outside of which I would never do is physical violence against that person. Well, what kind of man would I be?
What kind of man would he be? to deny that he would want to commit. It even take a moment to make that very fucking point. Physical violence does not cross my mind at all, and I'm gonna state it right here.
If I didn't tell him to go f himself, what kind of man would I be? And I ask that to all of you UFC fans. I'm a UFC fan too. You know, I've challenged Don Jr. to a cage match 3 times now. Never heard back from him. That's how I'm going to pay all my debt.
That's how you gonna pay all his debt he owes. Fight it off. So he went from physical violence, something that I would never do, into the UFC cage match. Okay. Can we see what's going on here? I don't know. And like the way the alternative media is painting this man, it puts me in mind that they're looking at this dude as a fun candidate for office. Like, are you serious? Everybody seems to forget. Like, we forget all about this fucking story with the laptop.
For the 2020 US election, a very big and very strange story broke in the papers.
We've just learned through explosive documents published by a very fine news.
Yes, of course, this cocksucker is a fucking liar. But both sides are.
For the New York Post.
Donald Trump thought that these documents found.
And a former aide to Donald Trump. Thanks so much for your time. Donald Trump's a former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. He gave you the copy of Hunter Biden's infamous laptop in 2020. When you first went through this, what was your reaction?
Well, it's unprecedented in American history that we have this much primary source material from a sitting American president. Usually, it takes decades for a presidential library's archives to be opened, sometimes even after the man dies. And so for us to have this much primary source material and unfiltered, this laptop is full of photos, videos, voicemails, calendar entries. So you really get a view of what they actually are like, not the patina.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. For a year and a half, most of the media dismissed reports about Hunter Biden's laptop as a...
First, I was not aware of, and certainly did not engage in, any conspiracy or other effort to do anything unethical, improper, or unlawful while...
Hello, my name is Anne.
My name is Phil.
That's 1 year and 9.5 months since the 2 weeks to flatten the curve lockdown.
That pretty much says it all. And the other interesting thing about Burisma was that it was run by an oligarch, a guy called Zlochevsky, who was a minister in the previous Russia-aligned government. And then the Americans got involved with the State Department in ousting, in fomenting the Maidan Revolution and bringing in a non-Russia aligned president in power.
Today on Secular, Hunter Biden finally admits the laptop is his.
Keeping you informed and engaged, now more than ever. This
information that the State Department gives members of the Senate when they travel overseas. This email from Hunter Biden to Devon Archer.
The second most obvious email on the laptop that shows that Hunter Biden has somehow accessed really seriously privileged and informative material that would be available to, say, the president or the vice president if we were being briefed on.
The New York Times has now admitted Hunter Biden's laptop is authentic, the emails are real, and this very much so implicates Joe.
The reform here would be greater disclosure. A simple question that says on your financial disclosure form, is anybody in your family, meaning your adult children, your siblings, your spouse, whoever, are they engaged in commerce or business with a foreign government or foreign government-owned enterprise? And if yes, you have to tell us who.
Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott. Dave, I'm Scott. The Hunter Biden story has been in the news for a while, and it's been kind of silenced, I think, for a while. There was this journalist. She's from the New York Post. Is concerned.
When I was comparing the data from the drive that I was copying to and from, I would open up a large video file, and then I saw some disturbing content of a very personal nature.
So, of a personal nature, let me ask you this. Would your initial gut reaction be one that would be, this is illegal what I'm saying? What I'm seeing, rather?
I didn't look at
in your non-lawyerly opinion. In other words, would an average person looking at those videos think this is totally illegal and needs to be reported?
Initially, the stuff that I saw from doing just the initial transfer, I wouldn't say the images in the video that I saw, I saw criminal activity, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it was criminal. I was more concerned about later on, when the Ukraine was topical in the news during the summer of 2019, that's when I was getting more concerned, because I was seeing a lot of names and a lot of numbers that, again, I felt somebody would someday come looking for this laptop, and I needed to get it out of my shop.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so, the criminal behavior that he was talking about, I think Hannity was trying to push him a little bit more about, were you watching criminal behavior? I mean, like pedophilia or something,
Right.
Trying to get to that point. But, turns out that what he was talking about was just him with a hooker, doing sexual stuff and smoking
at this point in time.
Yeah, and doing drugs on these videos. So it's criminal behavior, but it's not like Kitty Born or something.
Yeah.
It's a different type of criminal behavior that,
But it's criminal behavior, but it's not criminal.
Flashback to October 21st, 2020. I heard a podcast on Hunter Biden laptop. Was it legit? Was it not legit?
We forget of the diaries and all the shit. Like,
here we are. Fast forward, March 18th, 2022. That's been fighting this. That whole laptop thing? Yeah, came out yesterday. New York Times article. In paragraph 26, I believe, that it wasn't a Russian disinformation campaign, the Hunter Biden laptop story. It wasn't pro-disinformation. It was actually...
Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and today we're going to talk about an interesting story that came out. Bear in mind, as a voter,
I don't care what's confirmed by CBS or any of these.
Today we are going to be talking about the Hunter Biden laptop.
Fox News. Just mainstream media is pretending she didn't say that. They're just acting like it didn't happen. But thankfully,
totally incompatible with our system. Some of our own citizens have been harassed or even arrested in some of these countries, but our government has not stood up for them. Why? Because many of our bureaucrats believe in these laws. Take USAID. Many Americans are now in an uproar because they learned about over $400 million going to an organization called Internews, whose chief, Jeannie Bourgeot.
I want y'all to understand why I'm searching so fucking hard with this.
Because what he was wanting to bring up 1 minute before, 1 minute after, I'm actually trying to catch the entire fucking thing.
Today, Hunter.
So give me a second. While this is going on, I will bring up actual C-SPAN footage because I do want to bring it to this. It shows C-SPAN. I'm gonna bring it the fuck up because it makes it even fucking worse. You want to go with the 1 minute fucking speech? Let's do this. You want to go with 1 minute?
We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
That was the Democrat representative from the state of Massachusetts, a member of the squad.
This dude, Team FU Joe, he's not aligned by anybody. He will go after everybody. That is the older millennial. He calls it out the way he sees it. 100%. And he's usually fucking accurate. He's a big TikTok creator. He will fuck you up
It was April 2019
if you do this kind of shit.
Hunter took his laptops to a repair shop.
But
Never came back
Well,
for it. After 90 days, the laptops became
and yeah,
illegal property of the
you heard her
owner,
correctly.
contacted
She
Donald
is
Trump's lawyer,
willing to
Rudy
work with
Giuliani.
anyone who wants to advance the cause of censoring the American people in the name of advancing progress. I'm not putting words in her mouth.
What's up,
That's
YouTube?
exactly what she
Here
said.
again, my YouTube
And the weird
channel,
thing
Frank
is, if you
Steiner.
try to look up that
Today
statement
on
on mainstream media, you won't find it on CNN, you won't find it on MSNBC, you won't find it on PBS, CBS, fuck, you won't even find it on Fox News. Just mainstream media is pretending she didn't say that. They're just acting like it didn't happen. But thankfully, the internet is forever. Thank you so much, Representative Presley, for saying the quiet part out loud.
that's what I'm trying to actually find. Gotta go digging, and that's why. Just like, y'all remember the Waukesha incident where the dude ran through the fucking crowd? Supposedly the SUV killed people. Never mind, it was a black dude who was just like, kill all fucking whiteys. Never mind that shit, right? No. It's the same situation. She is a member of the fucking squad. Anything that she says that's gonna go against the issue in any way, because she is the she's the Netflix fucking version of Richard Mole from Night Court. And I swear to God, I'm gonna prove it to you. Let's do this. Sure, this tab is dead. Richard, I messed up. Richard Mole. Images. Let's bring this up. Download this. We'll bring that up. Share this tab. Images. Bring this up.
Expertise. But it goes outside errands too, so.
Hey.
The one thing we need to do is defund the institutions that are suppressing speech, and I couldn't agree more.
So shit.
But money is fungible. What you give me because of this reason, I can fund for that reason. If we're gonna do it, let's do it fairly, right? Okay, so what was the entire quote?
He's very.
I'm just gonna admit it. That was racist as shit. That was incredibly fucking racist as shit, but okay.
Popular, hundreds of thousands of followers across social media platforms. And as the saying goes, if I have a baby with Elon Musk, you won't know, but there will be signs. There were signs on Twitter. She tweeted out, Wagner chief says his forces will pull back. And then he goes, the pull-out method, Elon Musk. Then he goes, speaking personally, I obviously prefer the pull-in method. This was June 2023. Got Ashley pregnant about 6 months later. She replied to this, go to horny jail, bonk. He may have went to jail, but it was a 6-month sentence because he got out. Seems like they met for the first time back in May 2023. Ashley once wrote a book, Elephants Are Not Birds. It was a children's book. I think it was a top seller. He had that look in his eye. He was ready to go. But yes, congratulations to these two. I would even be surprised if Elon Musk has more children than 13 in this book. And we just know about 13.
And then they make the, what was it, it wasn't the New York, was it the New York Post?
It was the New York Post, yeah.
Yeah, but like even in a nutshell too, they make you feel like the New York Post must be a bullshit newspaper, and it's not a bullshit newspaper.
It's kind of a bullshit newspaper. It's more of a bullshit newspaper than
well, I'm guessing then turned it over to the New York Post.
They're
And please
occasionally
forgive me if I get any small detail of this story wrong.
pieces of truth that
There's
drop
so much
out of
information
it.
out there. Maybe you've heard it a different way. We're in this world we live in now where
Anyway.
In France, well, there's been a bit of an update.
We'll leave off with this.
C'est du feu qui fait encore rage. De feu partout, au cœur de cette forêt de pins maritimes. Sous nos pieds, la chaleur du brasier arrive au plus vite.
So it turns out the latest figures reported of people arrested for arson in France is now over 400 people. These are people who have deliberately or accidentally created wildfires. And we only know that because of mostly independent media news sources on platforms like the Twitters, and they've been reporting this so much that it's been trending, but you know, in the mainstream media, not heard much about that. No, I've seen little bits, but nothing of significance. No. You know what they have mentioned a lot though? Yeah, you know, don't you? You know, when it comes to record wildfires and the cause of that. Record wildfires, the change. Yeah, the one you guessed, right? So hearing a lot of that through the mainstream, but not so much about people arrested for arson. You know, I recently discovered that land that's had a fire that maybe was, you know, I think we describe it as greenbelt type land, but once it's had a fire, it's called disturbed land. And as you could probably guess, the green, nice stuff, that's it's worth money. The disturbed land, you can only imagine how much less money that's worth, right? But this is something I recently discovered. There you go. Many arrests for arson that we're not hearing so much in the mainstream. So I remember watching Chris Packham on children's programs when I was a young'un, and he was holding things like reptiles and various animals with Shizer on him and stuff like that. You know, he's one of them characters. And well, it appears that over the years he's, I think the term is progressed, isn't it? Progression. Yeah, he's progressed. Yeah, and as you'll see from this next clip, he's a little bit more involved in telling us plebs how to live our lives.
Also need a transition in the way that we eat. This is intricately important when it comes to protecting the environment, everything that lives there, and ourselves. We need a transition to a plant-based diet. It's healthier for people. If any of you have had bacon or sausage for breakfast this morning, do you know that you've ingested a category A carcinogen. That's it, as toxic as tobacco. You may not. You may have just enjoyed your sausage and bacon. Why do you not know that processed red meat is actually really bad for you? Animal agriculture is responsible for 12% of greenhouse gas emissions in the UK. It's also the leading driver of biodiversity loss. That biodiversity, that richness of life, that resilience in those ecological communities which we use to produce our food. We've got to change the way that we eat and produce that food, and we've got to provide sufficient support for farmers through that transition. And at the moment, they're not getting that.
Someone's looking for a guest spot at the next event at Davos, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Would you take private jet in as well, Chris? Yeah, like the rest of them do, and get involved in their nice menu at places like Davos as well. With
Gets me a plate of steak, I will.
Oh, I like that very much. There you go. We need to transition to a plan.
Fuck it. If that's what these people want, let them have it. They can't see past the left, right, fucking the by. Let them fucking have it. And that's all for today.